And ready, set, go. Okay, so once again, this is a fabric show. This could be like bed sheets or dresses or shirts or whatever else. Same kind of concepts. Now this shirt, much of the shirt wouldn't have that many wrinkles on it. I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit more so you kind of see how to do these things. And once again, when you're watching magic shows, please write the date down. So write down like fabric magic or something like that and put the date on there. So you get credit for that. And I'll start with a large bright brush at first. When you're doing magic shows or, fabric, I want to make sure you start with the darker base. I'll lighten it up a little bit though. Look at some basics going here. Color. I got my red, kind of a pink color. I'll add a little orange to make it a little more peachy. Test it out. So right there's way too much contrast. So when you start with the dark base coat is great, but then you need to tone it down. And every layer that you put on top should be about 10%. Use a little bit of raw umber too. Yeah, raw umber with the reds, it's pretty nice shading. You can always brighten it up later. So there's a little raw umber action in there. And then, so for the shadow, you could use like raw umber and dip it in the red. And that should be a lot, yeah, so that's a little bit better. Okay, with this, so this is gonna be the highlight here. I'll start by showing you the border on it. So on the border, the edge, I'll do like a nice clean line. And unlike other types of paintings with fabric, it's kind of like hair in a sense, where you really want to make sure that your each stroke is more or less like represents a fold. I'll get like a little trim color on this around the perimeter here. I'll make it thicker later. Just like one clean rim. I'll only do like half for now. And with the folds, you can do two things. You can like start here. So if I start with a clean edge here, not like this, but down here like this. If I come here, then I pull it, it'll get wider and wider. And right here, it's too dry to paint. So you want to make sure that when you're painting, that you have plenty of water in your paint. Otherwise, it won't really look like fabric as much. So here, where the grouping of the fabric is, it's going to be tighter here. It's going to span down here. So I'm taking my brush strokes and lightly going from skinny to much wider. So even on the base, this is the base coat. So even on the base coat, I'm still worried about like the angles and everything. So here I'll come down, like it's way too dry here, a little pebbly texture. I'll get rid of that. Another container of water. And when I'm doing the value changes, the contrast is really important. But you want to start dark and get lighter and lighter. So here's the shoulder right here. It's going to be the seam of the shoulder. Technically, this whole area up here is going to be pretty smooth. If you look at your shoulder, you don't have that many wrinkles on it, except for this area right in here, which I'll show you. So this could be pretty smooth. I'll dip that in the water again, get it nice and looby. And that little corner right there doesn't make any sense yet. I'll have it kind of group up here. Watch this how I change. So I'll change the angle of the brush. I'll go from wide here, angle the brush, and then come up to the side so it's a little more pointy. Automatically, it's kind of like more of a fold. So I'll do the same thing here. And on the shoulder, I'll keep it pretty light. So here, wide, angle the brush, come back into the top up there. And I can repeat that. And then if you want to blend out some folds, I'll show you how to do that in a second. Let me get another base coat on this part right here. So there's a seam right there on the shirt. I'll let that stay kind of dark. And I'm moving this out here. And the shoulder's kind of straight here. I'm gonna have it come out a little bit further. I could exaggerate the folds, have a little more pronounced. But for now it's gonna be okay. I lost all my shadow color, so I'll mix it up again. That is the red and raw umbers. Once again, pretty good colors. Then here, up on the top, it's gonna be pretty smooth because it's tight. So if it's tight, you're not gonna want a lot of folds. So I can stay actually pretty simple. I'll go white here. And by the time it gets down here though, you'll start to have some folds in it and twisting. So as it goes up, it's gonna get tighter here. So to get tight, skinny brush stroke. As it comes down and wraps around, I'll have it flare out a little bit. And as you can see, my brush is a little bit dry there as well. So come in here. And you want it to look easy. So on your notes, I would have like, even if it takes you like a lot of brush strokes, clean up the brush strokes later. So it looks like each fold was done by one brush stroke. So I'll give you an example. Like right here, I'm gonna have a lot of folds. Right here, I'm gonna go right the same direction. All these small brush strokes, it's kind of mopping on the color right now. Small brush strokes go in the right direction, but you don't want to leave them like small brush strokes up. So now I'll go back over it again. Now to replace those small brush strokes with larger ones, so it looks more simple. So even if you take like, 20 brush strokes to get a decent base, like this, tap, 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 a lot of brush strokes, changing color every once in a while, bam. All right, but those brush strokes, let's get too small, too many of them. Hold back a little bit further on the brush, tap it here. I'll go wide, and where it groups under the armpit, I'll let it get smaller. Show you that again. Okay, I'll do slow motion this time. All right, so now I have some of the bases down here for the shirt. I'll mix up a little bit of a tint to the color. Large round brush, or flat brush, and I'll come in here, wide, turn the brush, skinny. Okay, I'll do the same thing on this side. Over here on the ball of the shoulder, it's all gonna be pretty smooth as it stretches around the shoulder ball. Then here, I'll mix up even a little bit lighter color, tint of it. I'm gonna start white. Here's the armpit down here. So I'll come in here like this, turn the brush. All of a sudden, bam, you got a fold. So it's pretty easy to do. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Yeah, follow the references for your folds. Don't try to make them up. They'll look kind of weird. Then on this area too. So this is the base, this is like layer 3 right now. So I'm on layer 3 on this part. Over here, obviously, I still need to get some more base going on there. It's all about that base, not about that treble. Okay, so in here, same thing. Nice clean edge here. To start it with anyways. And here, it's gonna be like skinnier, like a whiter as it comes down. So I'll go ahead and mop on some color here. And technically, these brush strokes right here, too small. There's too many of them like that, right? So I'll go ahead and put them on a little heavy like this. Toward the shadow side. I'll add a little bit of orange in there too. And when I add the tints to it, it'll come out a lot better. So here, all flat. And right now, you can mop them on like this. Like I said, you can do a lot of strokes just to get the paint established, like a base coat. Right now, it's terrible. See all the little tiny brush strokes? Little choppy little things. Now I gotta get rid of those. I'll start with doing skinnier to tight up here. I'll add a little bit of a tint to it. Skinny up here on the top. Turn the brush. Have it come down here a little bit. All right, so now once you have your folds established, they're getting there. And I'll keep this pretty smooth on this side. Okay, so then when you have like some of the folds, like right here, they need to be blended more. So I'll show you how to blend when you're doing folds. And when you blend, like you just want two folds like this. Too easy to tell how it was done. So what I do is I'll take clean water, rinse it out a little bit, rinse out the brush, and to make these feathered out a little bit more, go right on the fold you just painted, drag it off diagonally a little bit. That'll smooth it out so it's not as sharp. I'll show you that again. So I'm gonna come up here. Here's like one singular brush stroke. I want to fade it out though. This is the clean brush, by the way. And I'll take that, wipe it down here, so I can still see the predominant fold on that thing, but then I blur it out a little bit. I'll do another fold there. Okay, and then like this one, it's got a sharp brush stroke. It's sharp on this side and that side. I recommend fading out one of the sides so you don't have a bunch of triangles. So here it's sharp on this side, sharp on that side. I'll come over here with a clean brush again, drag it a little bit sideways, and it softens it just a little bit. I'll connect this one to this one. Sideways, going diagonal across it, and it blurs it out pretty good. Okay, so now I'll go back in, this is layer 3 or whatever it is. I'll add some more highlights here. So this is the brighter part on the shoulder. As you can see here, I'm going skinny, making a wider line. And then over here, I'm gonna do the same thing. Let it fade out though. So now I'm gonna fade it. So to fade this in so it looks more subtle, I'm gonna take this like super hard edge line right here, rinse off the brush a little bit, drag it diagonal, where you can still see it, but it's softer. Same thing here, I'll start wide, go up, make it soft. And where it comes in here, on the bottom section, come in a little tighter here on the shoulder, roll it off. So like right here, I'll roll it into that. But once you have like a lighter value, you can't put this light value over here. Way too light. So the lighter value, only 10% lighter, goes on top of the medium value. So you go like, maybe a value of like 5, and you go to value 4, 3, and you work your way up. So, and if you want to go add more folds to it, you can. But never put like bright color pigment on top of a dark value. Honestly, they can almost be done, except for I don't like this area right here. So that area is kind of rough. I'll soften that, come up here with the edge. And that was too dry in paint, where you can see the texture of the canvas. Add a little more water to it, so I cleaned it off. Just a little bit more water. Blur it out, soften it. But each stroke is pretty big. It's like not like a small stroke, so it's not like tiny little strokes. And it's okay if you can see the individual strokes when you're done even. So it looks like, well, I can see that was just one stroke. John Singer Sargent, write that name down so you can look him up. He does amazing fabric. Now I'm just gonna go in with a light color and just pimping it out a little bit. So like right here, come in here, boop, turn the brush, come down the seam. That could be done right there, just like that. So you don't need a lot of